All right, welcome everyone to the session. This is Read Faster in 30 minutes. Let's jump right into it. My name is Paul Nowak. I'm the founder and CEO here at Iris Reading. And just a quick little reminder as to where you could find the handouts for today. I'm going to post it in the chat and the description. This link is where we'll have materials. If you go to irisreading.com/YTS, as you see on the screen there, go ahead and download those and we'll be using them. And just a quick reminder, if you want more content like this, you can go to the YouTube channel here and just subscribe. So first, let's talk about how most people tend to read. And you might see this green dot bouncing around on the screen. This is how our eyes typically will move through the text, right? And of course, sometimes we go back to reread material. And this is a common way of reading, going one word at a time. Now, the problem with this is it's necessary when you're little. You got to read one word at a time because you look at a word and you really break it down syllable by syllable. But once you gain enough fluency, as you already have, you can read groups of words instead of just one by one. So this is just an old reading habit that we need to change if we're going to get a little more efficient. Another thing is regression, rereading material. We've all done this, right? Sometimes the material goes over your head. Sometimes it's just hard to understand. But we want to limit how much time we spend rereading. And a lot of that has to do with focus, right? Sometimes we're just not focused, and that's why we can't remember what we've read, or we feel like our mind wandered off. So we'll talk about some ways to improve focus while you're reading. Also, subvocalization. This is a habit of saying words in your head. You may have noticed when you're reading, you hear this voice. It's your own voice in your head. By the way, if you're hearing other voices in your head, that's a different problem. This is how we learn to read. We went from reading out loud in front of our teachers to eventually, okay, don't read out loud, say the words silently to yourself. So they call that subvocalization. Problem with this is it leads to a limit on your reading speed. Speaking of which, let's measure your reading speed. So again, the materials and this file that you see right here, you can find it at irisreading.com/YTS. It's called speedtest1.pdf. Let me show you how to get there. You type in that link or copy and paste it from the chat or description. And you see right over here, if you click on that, and we'll use this one later, you can see where you can actually download that. Okay, so just go to here and then right here, there's the download button and you'll have this article. I'm gonna have it displayed on my screen. So if for whatever reason you can't make it to that link and you could read this directly from my screen, it might require you to maximize the window. Also, while you're reading, I'm going to take away my webcam so you have a little more screen real estate on the screen. And you're just either going to read from my screen or you're going to download this file from the link, and we're going to measure your reading speed. Now, very important here that you read at your normal speed. Don't try to go faster than usual. And don't go slower than usual either. I want to find out your actual speed. And we're just going to read for a minute to begin with. We'll do more reading after this, but right now let's do a quick minute of just reading normally, figuring out, am I average with my speed, above average, below? At the end of the minute, we'll figure out our speed based on these numbers on the side. And then I'll tell you what the average is. So hopefully you have this in front of you. I'm going to start the timer here in a few moments here. Here's the article. Go ahead and begin reading. Okay, let me stop you there. That is 1 minute of reading that we just did. Take a look at the line where you stopped and let's figure out that reading speed. Now you can figure out your speed based on these numbers. Those numbers tell you how many words are to the end of the line. So if you know exactly what word you stopped on, you could be very precise. Maybe you didn't read the last 3 words of this line, maybe you got up to here. Okay, well, you just subtract 3 from that number, or maybe you stopped somewhere down here at the end of the second paragraph. That would be 250 words per minute we read for 1 minute. What's the average? Average reading speed is 150 to 250. However, this is just kind of like a general limit that doesn't a general average reading range where it's kind of like a bell curve where about 80% of people fall into that range. 20% are either above or below, but it does not take into account education level. Also, it doesn't take into account like young children. What is the average reading speed for like college educated adults? It is a little bit higher, 200 to 300 words per minute. Okay, so you can compare yourself to this or to that. If you want to share your speed in the chat or comments, by all means, feel free. You don't have to. I know some people, they want to kind of keep that private, and that's understandable. I've done classes where we measure everyone's reading speed, like in person, and then people will write down their speed, and then they kind of cover it. Like they don't want anybody to see. Or people that are curious will kind of like lean, they want to see what the other person next to them was reading. They'll kind of lean back in their chair and kind of look over like that. And that's why I want to tell you what these averages are, 150 to 250 or 200 to 300. That's the average. Also, when people are reading on the screen, they tend to read a little bit slower. The average reading speed on the screen is closer to 136 words per minute. And that's because it can be more frustrating reading on the screen. You ever get to a news article and they're like, hey, do you accept our cookie policy? And you're like, no, how do I exit this? And then another pop-up is like, hey, you want to join our newsletter? You're like, oh, no, like, where's the X? And then later you're scrolling through the article, reading it, and a pop-up shows up like, hey, in order to read the rest of the article, you got to create a username and login for the site. And you're just like, never mind, I'll read the same article somewhere else. So reading on the screen can be more challenging, it can be more frustrating, but I mean, a lot of us are doing a lot of reading on the screen. I do the vast majority, maybe 80% of my reading is screen-based, and maybe I'd say 20% is on the page. Let us know in the comments, where are you reading more or less? Are you reading more on the screen, more on the page? What's the percentage? I'm curious to know. Also, let us know where you're joining us from. I'm broadcasting from the Miami area. I grew up in Chicago, but I moved about 3 years ago, and we see people from all over the world. We've done this in over 100 cities worldwide, mostly in the US, but we've also done this in places like Singapore, London, Hong Kong, Barcelona. And I'm mentioning this because, everybody's got to read, and we do this for a mix of working professionals and students. So regardless of where you're joining us from, welcome. I want to talk a little more about this habit of subvocalization, which is just, again, that voice you hear in your head while you're reading. The problem is, if you're saying every word in your head, that means you're going to read about as fast as you talk. That's a problem. Here's why. Well, if you read as fast as you talk, how are you going to get faster? Maybe we should learn to talk faster. Problem with that is you can only talk so fast, right? There's for sure a limit on your talking speed. What about instead your thinking speed? I think all of us would agree we can think much faster than we can say the words. Actually, there's a reason our tagline here at Iris Reading is reading at the speed of thought, as you see right here at the top. Now, the important thing is we need to get out of this habit of saying all the words in our head and into the habit of reading as fast as we think. We got to change these habits. And the average talking speed turns out to be the same as the average reading speed. Remember that number I showed you earlier? That's also the average talking speed. So this is definitely a problem we got to change all these habits. First way to start changing the habits and getting faster and more efficient is to start using your hand as a guide. This is going to help with concentration. You know how sometimes we space out while we're reading? If you use your hand, finger, or pen, and that's just going like this with your hand or your finger, or some people prefer to use maybe a pen to guide their eyes. Turns out your eyes are naturally attracted to motion. So you create some motion on the page, you're naturally going to be a little more focused. And as a result, you'll probably read a little faster because you have a higher level of concentration. Also, what about your comprehension? If you're more focused, you're going to have better comprehension. But this is not always convenient. Like if I'm reading on my phone, I'm not going to be using my finger. That doesn't really make sense. I'm on a laptop. It doesn't have a touch screen. It's just a MacBook. I don't really mind touching my screen, but when we're reading on the screen, it's not always convenient to do this. So let's talk about reading on the screen. We're going to take some sample reading material. Let's see here. We're going to go to this website called The Onion. Some of you may have heard of it. It's America's finest news source, as you see here. We're going to read this article here, Justin Bieber forgets wife's name. Okay, now, it's a pretty short read, as you can see. We're going to go into the program, which is called Accelerator. If you go to accelerator.com, it looks like this, okay? And all we do is we copy and paste our text into a box. By the way, this is a free speed reading program that we created, and it's spelled accelerator.com. You click begin, and then all you got to do is focus in the middle of the screen here. These are the first 3 words of the article. When I click read, you're going to notice the words are going to be blinking on the screen, and they're going to blink at whatever speed you set in the program. Right now, I've got it set to 250, which is around average, maybe above average for people reading on the screen. But let's try it out, 250 words a minute, and let's see if you can keep up. So I'm going to disable my webcam here, focus in the middle of the screen, and we're just going to read this silly article here. Justin Bieber forgets wife's name. Here we go. Okay, so that was 250 words a minute. Were you able to keep up there? Hopefully, yes. And by the way, I should also mention that on my screen, it's blinking at a very constant pace. However, I know that when we do these live streams, sometimes if there's a hiccup in the internet connection at any point, on my end, your end, or somewhere in between, you could have like it's blinking on the screen and then it like freezes for a moment and then it blinks kind of irregularly. That's only because we're doing a live stream. But if we got good connections, it's probably just streaming just fine, hopefully. Let's try going a little bit faster. The way that we can train ourselves to reading faster is by challenging ourselves to go a little faster. So, and I know for some of you, 250, that was probably not even that fast. Now, for others, if you're reading at a slower pace than 250, it might be a little challenging, but it's okay. Let's try it out again with a new article. So here we have tips for starting a book club. Short little article, as you can see here. I copy and paste the text as I've already done here. Click begin. And instead of 250, we're going to bump up the speed to 300. You go into the settings and you change the words per minute right here to 300. Now there's also a chunk size setting, which we had set to 3. I'm sure you may have noticed it was blinking 3 words at a time. Now, of course, we could do 1 word. We could change it to 2 words. I recommend doing 3 words to, again, challenge yourself. And we want to learn and train ourselves to reading groups of words. So that's why we're going to do 3 words. You could tinker around with this to see where your comfort level is. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3, maybe it's 4. But let's try it out. And again, focus in the middle of the screen. We're going to read this article right here, Tips for Starting a Book Club. Here we go. All right, so that was 300 words per minute. If you were keeping up, great. And even if you felt like comprehension slipped, because maybe it was going too fast for you, that's okay. We're just trying to get used to seeing the words at a more rapid pace. Now, let's see if we can do 350. Why not? we're going to take another article. Here we have hospital sends man home with loner dad, while his is worked on. Okay. Again, silly article. We're going to read this short article, copy paste. We hit begin. And I also want you to know there's some keyboard shortcuts. If you look at the bottom here, you can change your speed by using the up and down arrow keys. It'll change it by 25. Or you can use the left arrow key. If you need to go back, you hit the space bar to pause it. Space bar is like your play and pause button, or read and pause. And then you could hit the back arrow key to go back if you need to. But right now, we're going to go 350 words a minute. So I'm going to hit the up arrow key once and twice to get to 350. We're still going to be doing 3 words at a time. See if you could keep up at this rate reading this article right here. Hospital sends man home with loner dad while his worked on. All right, here we go. All right, now that was 350 words per minute. If you were able to still keep up, very good. And like I said, even if you were having trouble, it's not a bad idea to practice these kind of drills with a program like this and training yourself to getting used to seeing words faster and faster. Now, how do we get better at anything? I think we would all agree it takes practice. Now, when we're talking about practice as it relates to reading, there's various drills and exercises you can do. And I'm going to take you through one type of exercise. It's called a speed drill. And the whole point of a speed drill is to purposely go faster than you would normally read. Now, the way we're going to do that is we're going to take some sample material that we've already read. Remember this article, The Age of Distraction? Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put 40 seconds on the clock. And what you have to do is you have to essentially reread what you already read. Remember earlier at the beginning, I had you read for 1 minute? And you got to a certain point. That's when we measured your reading speed. That was 60 seconds. You got to, I don't know, here, maybe you got up to here, maybe you got somewhere down here. You got to get to that same spot or further in 40 seconds. Essentially, what I'm asking you to do is just skim what you've already read in a little bit less time, okay? Let's try it out. I want you to get used to seeing these words faster. And by the way, if you happen to have this printed out, I would also recommend using your hand, your finger, or pen as a guide to help your eyes focus on the material. But I realize a lot of you are just reading this online off the screen. If it's not convenient to use your hand, you don't have to, but you do have to go faster than you would normally read because this is a speed drill. Okay, starting from the top, make it to the line you read up to in 40 seconds. Ready, set, and go. Okay, that was 40 seconds. If you got to your line, very good. What we're going to do now is another drill, 35 seconds. We're going to do the same thing, but you're going to go just a little faster. Okay, I want you to move your eyes a little faster. Again, we're starting from the top. You got to make it to the line you read up to, wherever that may be. And you got just a little less time, so you got to go a little faster. Okay, ready? Here's 35 seconds. Ready, set, and go. All right, how'd you do there? That was now 35 seconds. If you made it to your line, very good. Let's do another one, 30 seconds. You got half the time to get through 60 seconds of reading material that you did previously. You got to get through it in 30 seconds. So this is kind of like a skimming exercise, but the whole point is to get your eyes used to seeing words at a rapid pace. So from the top, same thing, just a little faster than last time. You now have 30 seconds. Ready, set, and go. All right, that was 30 seconds. If you got to your line, very good. I also want you to know that the way these drills work, they can also be practiced with a tool like the Accelerator program. Remember this one right here? What did we do? With the first article, we read this at a certain speed, 250 words per minute. What we can do is we could bump it up to something like 500. Let me press the up arrow key. See how the number is going up to 500? Let me show you what 500 words a minute looks like. We're going to go R to restart to the beginning. You see we're back at the beginning now. And just focus in the middle here. We're going to go at a speed that's like double our normal reading speed. Let's see how well you keep up. We already read this article earlier at 250 words a minute. Now we're just skimming through the same information twice as fast, doing a speed drill. Let's try it out. Here we go. Okay, so you see how that works. That was a rapid 500 words a minute. Now, you do these drills for a period of time, and then what you do is you go back to normal reading. And if you refer to this other document, speedtest2.pdf, again, that's located here at this link, irisreading.com/YTS. We also have that link in the description. Here's what the article looks like. Now, I said we're going back to normal reading. That means we're not doing a speed drill. I want you to read normally, so you got to slow it down. Not too slow, but also not too fast. Go at whatever speed is comfortable. We're going to read for 1 minute, and then I'll stop you. Okay? So let me put 1 minute on the clock here. Hopefully you are ready to read. Okay, ready, set, and go. All right, that was a minute. Take a look at the line where you stopped, and let's figure out your speed there. Look at the numbers on the right. Those will help you determine what your speed was that time around. And let's see if you made an improvement. I'm curious to know. You can let me know in the chat or in the description if you made an improvement. What was your beginning speed? What was your ending speed? It's not uncommon that just with a handful of drills, sometimes people make an improvement. Now, maybe not everyone because we didn't do a lot of drills, but there is a reason I have this slide next. It's because a lot of people at this point tend to make some kind of an improvement. And I also want you to be aware of how these drills actually work, because they can be practiced. And this is only one type of drill. There's a lot of different types. If you're interested, you could go to our website and see the different courses we have to help you with your speed. But the way these drills work is kind of like being on the highway. You know, when you're on the highway, you're going faster than usual. And how does it feel when you get off the highway? Feels kind of slow, right? You might have been going 70, 80 miles an hour on the highway. Now you get off the highway and you're going 40 and it feels kind of slow. You might not even realize you're going that fast. That's because you got used to going way faster. With reading drills like this, the whole point is to go a lot faster than usual and then reset back to a normalized speed. But if you got used to going so fast, eventually that slower speed is going to feel extremely slow. Okay. Now, a few other things. For those of you sticking around to the end here, I have a little special offer for you. If you like the content that you were just reading, this is actually extracted passages from this book, Focus. And if you want me to email it to you, the author has given us permission to freely distribute this book. And you can just shoot me an email, paul@irisreading.com, and I will send you that Focus book. It's a quick read. It's like 100 pages or so, and it has a lot of great tips related to improving your focus. And that can help you just to be more productive. Also, for those of you that want to do a deeper dive into speed reading, memory, comprehension, if you go to our website and you click on courses, or this link right here, irisreading.com/courses, you'll see that there's courses related to speed reading, comprehension, maximizing memory. We actually teach memorization techniques here. If you're a student, that might come in handy. Note taking. If you're a student or even a working professional, these are all skills that are helpful. And this all falls under the umbrella of being productive. We actually have a ChatGPT productivity course on there as well. We set up a code if you're interested in any of these. So if you enter Paul, you'll get an extra 30% off any of the courses. So just wanted to make you aware of that. And also, we have courses happening all over the place. If you go to our website and click on the live courses, you'll see the different cities. Maybe we're doing a workshop in your city. You can sign up over there. Or if you want to do one-on-one instruction, we also have that. A reminder to everyone, if you could do me a big favor, even if you can't sign up for any of the courses, give this a like or a subscribe, and that helps train the algorithm on YouTube to get this out to more people. I learned these kind of techniques when I was in college, and I always wondered, how come I didn't learn how to learn? And that's what we're trying to do for students and professionals worldwide. I want to thank you so much for your time and attention. I've got some contact info over here if you want to shoot me an email or connect on any of these places. By all means, feel free. But thank you so much for checking out today's session. We wanted to wrap things up within 30 minutes. I'll stick around a little bit if there are questions, or if there are questions you have later on, you can just shoot me an email. But thank you all so much and have a great rest of the day. Take care.